Well, the NBA is a different thing. I mean, I watch this guy, Steve Kerr, and he was like a little boy. He was so scared to be even answering the question. He couldn't answer the question. He was shaking. Oh, I don't know.
Going to try to divide us, all of us in this country, for political gain.
And yet he'll talk about the United States very badly.
Comments about the NFL players was as bad as anything he has said to this point.
I watched Popovich, sort of the same thing, but he didn't look quite as scared, actually.
Our country's an embarrassment in the world.
But they talk badly about the United States, but when it talks about China, they don't want to say anything bad. I thought it was pretty sad, actually.
This is an individual who actually thought that when people held arms during the games that they were doing it to honor the flag. That's delusional.
Donald Trump ripped head coaches Gregg Popovich and Steve Kerr in the NBA, a pair of freedom-fighting activists who opposed the 45th president. But what struck me the most was that Steve Kerr and Gregg Popovich wanted to do their homework to supply a better, more forthright answer. And Donald Trump took offense to that, considering Trump has said,
I'm a very stable genius.
And
trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Plus.
So here I am, great schools, great brain.
His school paper, the Daily Pennsylvania, published a list of the 56 students who were on the Wharton Dean's List of that year. Trump's name is not among them.
It's been proven Trump discards the homework.
One of his former aides, Sam Nunberg, once told a journalist that it was his job during the campaign to educate Trump on the Constitution. Nunberg was sent to explain the Constitution to the candidate. I got as far as the Fourth Amendment before his finger is pulling down on his lip and his eyes are rolling back in his head. And I believe this story because Trump always makes it very obvious when he's bored. Just watch him whenever he's in a meeting and someone else is speaking. He looks straight down and literally hugs himself for comfort.
Trump is an old idiot who was gifted money from his white supremacist father. So speaking of fathers, Steve Kerr was born in Beirut, his mother attending Harvard of the Middle East, AUB. His father, Malcolm, was offered the presidency position at AUB after President David Dodge was kidnapped. When Steve visited, Hezbollah formed in the region and the shelling intensified in said region. And when Kerr headed for the airport one afternoon, the driver had to turn around and take him back to the U.S. Embassy. The same driver later took Kerr on an 8-hour ride to Jordan, where he would fly to Tucson. After their trip, the driver had been shot by a sniper.
Malcolm Kerr, the president of American University in Beirut, was gunned down in his school today, the latest victim of Lebanon's seemingly endless violence.
Steve's father, Malcolm, who was as passionate about Middle Eastern affairs as his third child was about basketball, had been gunned down in a wave of anti-American sentiment. It was January 18th, 1984, and halfway around the world, in Tucson, Steve, then a freshman at the University of Arizona, heard the news.
Malcolm Kerr would step off the elevator one morning and would be shot in the back of the head. Steve Kerr has more education on more regions than Donald Trump will ever have. But here we are. And what's the closest Trump has come to something like this?
Trump was rushed offstage by security agents at a rally in Reno, Nevada.
Trump's attacks are symbolic of every attack. Not well thought out. And you'll see attacking veterans for his own gain, like Gregg Popovich, who served in the Air Force for 5 years. He operated spy satellites monitoring Soviet missile launches under the top-secret Air Force Satellite Control Facility under command of the Space and Missile Systems Organization. Air Force personnel and military contractors communicated with tracking stations and spy satellites at Sunnyvale Air Station. It featured a windowless control center called the Blue Cube. Military operations included the Gambit 3 spy satellite program. The satellites were capable of taking high-res photos from orbit at a time when the United States and the Soviet Union were in a tense nuclear arms race. This was serious Cold War stuff, said an intelligence expert. Another military assignment took Popovich to a remote outpost in southeast Turkey where he tracked Soviet intercontinental ballistic missile launches. The experience is there between Steve Kerr being born in the Middle East, Donald Trump at best sending Jared Kushner there in Ray-Bans, and then Gregg Popovich being an actual veteran. What Donald Trump did here was, because the NBA as a league showed a sign of weakness. And furthermore, he took essentially a non-answer, which was actually what we need more of. Yeah, I'm not so caught up on the subject. It's Chinese politics. I need to read more about Hong Kong so I can give you a better answer. Which, once you say that, as a head coach, like Steve Kerr and Gregg Popovich, who are very caught up and with it when it comes to American politics, do you really think the media are just going to let them go on that? And here's the thing. Every single time that they have gone against Donald Trump, it's been a win. If he is ready to catch another L the next time that Steve Kerr and Gregg Popovich talk to the media, well, it'll be a gift wrapped by the two. Because there is no doubt in my mind that when they do read up on this subject, they'll likely be on Hong Kong's side.